Alright, well, I just got finished watching WWE Battleground, and this is an interesting show to try to discuss, because there are some very good things in this pay-per-view, but at the same time, this pay-per-view is also filled with with a few just odd things. Like, I would say this is a pay-per-view for moments rather than matches overall. But anyway, the kickoff was Damien Sandow versus Dolph Ziggler. I don't know what the fuck it was about WWE's YouTube channel, but it was laggy as hell. Like, I don't know what it was about their stream, but it sucked. I don't know whether or not, like, I don't know whether it was just me or something, but it just looks so laggy. Maybe the Yahoo version goes at a better version, or goes at a better rate, but I just could not follow the match because it kept lagging up. Ziggler wins a kind of a sloppy finish, and Sandow apparently hurt one of his knees. I don't know whether or not it's a work, but this is actually supposed to be the explanation for why later on he does not cash in the Money in the Bank. On the actual card, we started the show with Rob Van Dam versus Alberto Del Rio for the World Heavyweight Championship. It started off really fast, and I gotta say, both these guys were great at selling these big moves. And I gotta say, the crowd was super, super good throughout most of the night. And I did like the sort of mix of, like, brutal hardcore moves and nice energy moves, if you will. You know, it created a nice balance of being entertaining and then being very dramatic. It started really strong, and it accelerated I think it actually accelerated a little too fast. Like, 5 minutes in, RVD hits, like, over-the-rope DDT onto a steel chair. The match kind of accelerated a little too fast. And so, you know, when it maintained that pace, instead of accelerating like it probably should have, it didn't feel as rewarding as you know, it could have been. I gotta say, the ending was one of those things that's just memorably brutal, where Del Rio manages to catch RVD's arm in a chair and starts smashing and just starts hitting the crap out of it. And that was a pretty brutal way to end the match without necessarily lessening RVD for it. It was an entertaining match that just felt like it wasn't quite properly paced. I gave it a 8 or 9 out of 10. ADR wins, of course, with the armbar because RVD had to tap out after getting his arm wrecked. After that was just a short little Zeb Coulter promo, which was weird, which was kind of awkwardly more blunt than usual. And it set up the next match, which I didn't talk about in my preview and predictions because apparently it was announced just today. So this is not technically a unannounced match. It was a match that was announced only very shortly. Anyway, the match was Great Khali and Santino Marella versus the Great Americans, Tony Cesaro and Jack Swagger. This is one of the examples I bring up when I say this is a show more about moments than matches. The match itself was kind of bland, you know. The only guy who actually did anything interesting was Cesaro. But he did two really interesting things, and that was like a leapfrog little jump he had. A move where he leapfrogged over Jack Swagger and stomped onto Santino Marella. That was actually pretty epic. But the other one that I think a lot of other people will talk about was when he somehow actually maneuvered the giant swing onto the Great Khali. That was pretty incredible to watch. You know, I wrote this down specifically. The moments were better than the matches itself, but that being said, the match was just okay. I gave it 6 out of 10. But you might be better off just looking up like leapfrog, stomp, Cesaro, and giant swing on Khali. Anyway, after that was Curtis Axel versus RTruth for the Intercontinental Championship match. This was bland filler. It was boring. I just gave it 4 out of 10. Curtis Axel retains, and no one cared. Anyway, shortly after that was Brie Bella versus AJ Lee. AJ, I don't know whether this is an attempt to ride off any momentum she might have gotten from showing that she was getting married to Daniel Bryan, but she did look like she was pulling out a few new moves. And I gotta say, this match was a little stiffer than you'd expect for this sort of thing. And I gotta say, it had a good start and a good ending. Like, the ending sequence was actually pretty cool to see between AJ Lee and Brie Bella. But the middle was just bland. It just felt really typical Divas stuff. But that being said, having a good having a good end and a good beginning is more than I can say for a lot of other matches. But I'll still give it a 6 out of 10. Basically, good for TV match. After that was a Rhodes family interview. First of all, what the fuck was with Goldust's makeup tonight? It was scary as hell. The first time I saw him, I was like, ah! You just see him and it's like, oh my god. Is that part of his mind games? Oh my god. But what I liked about this interview segment with Cody Rhodes, Goldust, and Dusty Rhodes was that it really did display just the family connection they had and, built up the next match, which was Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus the Shield of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. I gotta say, this match was a lot more psychology than it was technical showcase or anything, but that being said, it was really freaking good. It was story in wrestling pretty much at its finest. It was, the beginning was really entertaining in spite of very little action. The emotional center of being a family actually did seem believable with a real family. Goldust actually pulls out some different offense to his usual style, which actually does kind of reinforce the idea of, last call, or last chance, you gotta make it work. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins still looked really strong in this match, although they didn't have as much presence as their opponents. And the pace of this match was pretty much as perfect as it could be, and the crowd was just perfectly into it. I gotta say, this was just incredible storytelling with, I would call this a character match that just worked. Hugely entertaining, great feel-good match with a great feel-good ending, where Cody Rhodes beats the Shield, and both Cody and Goldust are reinstated, and a really great, after the match celebration with a bunch of the guys at the roster. Really, really good segment. 9 or 10 out of 10. Really, really damn good. After that was Kofi Kingston versus Bray Wyatt. It was very slow for the most part, but the last third I think kind of redeemed it. There were just a few memorable surprises. I think the one that's probably going to get jiffed is fucking Bray Wyatt walking on his hands and legs backwards, And after about the I gotta say the whole sequence that led into Bray Wyatt beating Kofi Kingston actually looked really, really cool. I'd say it's just a little bit above a normal TV match. I gave it 6 or 7 out of 10. After that was CM Punk versus Ryback. This was entertaining, but not as engageable as the comparable Punk versus Lesnar match. And the reason I say it's comparable is because it's the same sort of medium-sized guy versus huge guy, but it felt a lot less believable with Ryback, and I don't think Ryback knows about as much of how to control a match as Lesnar does. I will say there were a few surprising moments. It's always really interesting to see someone pull out a really vicious powerbomb. And I gotta say, after about halfway through, the tension does start to make the match feel more legitimate, other than compared to like the first half, which felt kind of bland, or not bland, but middle of the road. I gotta say the ending was actually pretty funny. Punk, after Heyman almost hit Punk with the kendo stick, Punk just straight up low-blowed Ryback and fucking pinned him. So that ended the match, which I gotta say, that was a pretty funny way to end the match, and it was a nice little revenge for Punk after all the things with Ryback. So I give the match a 7 or 8 out of 10, and really entertaining with kind of a funny ending. After that was Randy Orton versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. I think a lot of what affected this match is what happened before. Before the match happened, everybody's pay-per-view feed died, and the entire pay-per-view was black for a while, because apparently the building lost power, and the intermission time really seemed to kill the momentum because the crowd wasn't really into it, and the first third felt really dull, and even the second third felt kind of middle of the road. But I will say the reason the second third was a little more interesting was because of the way Orton just seemed to act a little more ruthless, and it was just like, oh shit, how is Bryan able to take all this stuff? And I gotta say, it was starting to have a good ending until the finish. The finish was that fucking Bryan had Randy Orton in a yes lock. Big Show comes out with his music, which I've always hated how fucking interference comes out and they have music and everything, and pulls out the referee and knocks out Daniel Bryan. Fucking Brad Maddox comes out and says, oh yeah, bring out a new referee. It's the same referee as the last time when they fucked up the finish. Obviously worked. And then when he's counting for Randy Orton pinning Bryan, Big Show pulls him out, knocks his ass out, and then freaking Orton's just yelling at him, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then fucking, I think he pushes Big Show, and then Big Show knocks Orton out, and then it just ends with fucking Big Show screaming at the crowd, "Yeah, I did that," and then the pay-per-view just ends. I gotta say, like, I think they really should bring back the In Your House segment, because this would be a great ending to an In Your House, but not to a bigger scale pay-per-view. I've heard people say, I saw people write down shit like you were better off leaving us with the power outage ending. I'm not gonna say anything that low, but I gotta say, for a match that had a kind of dull start and kind of dull middle, and only started to pick up near the end, having an end that way is just kind of weak. I gave the match, I think I gave the match 5 or 6 out of 10. Like, I think it might have been able to redeem itself, but the problem is Orton and Bryan don't seem to have as good of chemistry as, surprisingly, Cena and Bryan. You know, there's nothing that really wows me into really liking this match, especially considering I've already seen so many parts of it. So that was Battleground 2013, and what do I think of it? Great moments, but not really great matches, except for the Rhodes family one. I wouldn't exactly call it like a great must-buy or anything, and I won't call it a bad pay-per-view. I'll just say, you know what? I'll pretty much say 2 matches, and that's kind of it. I would say that, actually, I don't know, this is kind of a weird pay-per-view where you'll go for certain things, but you won't go for others. Its whole is not as good as its parts, if you will. And because of that, as an overall pay-per-view, I'm probably going to have to give it like a 6 out of 10, because it is kind of just, it is sort of like an average pay-per-view, you know, if you will, and I don't think it stood out enough. But then again, this is kind of a filler pay-per-view, so I don't think they intended to stand out that much. But anyway, that's my opinion on Battleground 2013. Leave a comment down below about what your opinions are. I'm sure to subscribe if you like my videos. So anyway, see you guys in 3 more weeks. Actually, holy shit, when's Bound for Glory? Okay, that is in 2 weeks. Bound for Glory in 2 weeks, and Hell in a Cell 2013 in 3 weeks. See you guys then, and hopefully both of those won't suck.